Hi friends, Principal Rabb-Patterson here on this Wednesday, September 23rd. And for Writing Chance, Chapter 16. Here we go. Let's find out what goes on with Troy. Chapter 16. School was finally out. That was the good news. I had major plans for the summer. I was going to get my writing real tight, and the other stuff, I don't know. I kept it on lockdown. I didn't see much of Foster. There was a curtain between us. That was the bad news. And sometimes everything would be getting on my nerves. I tried to just put it out on my mind, but I couldn't. Used to be if somebody bumped into me or something, I would just let it go. I couldn't do that now. If somebody even looked at me wrong, I would get mad. And if somebody really did do something wrong, watch out. Like the day Lele came around trying to collect money for the block party. Every summer we have a big blowout on the block. We close off the street and everybody just hangs out outside eating, playing cards, listening to music. Usually there's somebody running the whole thing. I don't know why I'm saying usually. It's always Mr. Glover. Anyways, he gets a couple of people to help. They go around and ask everybody to bring something and to chip in for sodas and ice cream. Well, this one day, I was sitting on the porch waiting for Grandma to say it was time to eat. Here comes Lele knocking on everybody's door asking for donations. He had a little jar with a few dollars in it so everybody would think their neighbors already gave. He must think we're stupid. First thing I noticed was Lele waited until Mr. Glover went inside his house to start this mess. He knocked at the house next door to ours, but nobody answered. They probably saw who it was and didn't want to be bothered. Lele saw me sitting right there, but he didn't say nothing. He walked down the steps and over to our house. I stopped him as soon as he put his big foot on our bottom step. "Don't even try it," I said. "I'm collecting for the block party." He said it with a straight face, but everyone knew he could lie like a mug. "Is your grandmom home? Don't come up here," I said. I picked up the red and white metal chair and held it in front of me. "What you gonna do about it?" he said. "Faint? Take one more step up here and you'll find out." I wasn't playing. I was ready to throw that big old chair down on his head. He saw that I was strong enough to do it, too. "Aw, you ain't even worth it." He stepped backward down the sidewalk. "We don't want you at the block party anyway." He skipped Mr. Glover's house and tried the people on the other side. I put the chair back down on the porch and text Foster to warn him Lele's scam. Foster: "He must think we're stupid." Then: "You coming to block party?" Me: "Not sure. Depends when I get down at stables." Foster: "Ask Chance nice. Maybe she'll let you out." I'll let it go after that. It wasn't like Foster to have so much attitude. I sat back down on the porch and thought about how it would feel to hurt somebody. I never thought about doing nothing like that before. It was scary. Scary because there was a hard side of me that kept coming out. I couldn't really control it. I knew that because of what happened between me and Percy. Percy was always around the stables. Looked like he calmed down the horses. Something about horses and goats. I don't know. So this one day, nothing was going right even before the Percy thing. I had a hard time with Chance that morning. She wasn't doing what I wanted her to do. Winston said we weren't on the same page. Said maybe we needed to take a break from each other. Anyway, Percy kept running around Chance's stall so I couldn't do my work. I shooed Percy out a couple times, but soon as I turned around, he'd be right back in there. Got on my nerves for real. I want to say this right because I didn't really kick him that hard. I mean, you could say he fell up against my foot. I was trying to muck out Chance's stall and Percy sort of got in the way when I backed up the wheelbarrow. He was running around all crazy, bleeding, making that doll baby crying sound. That's what caught Alicia's attention. I didn't even know she was in the barn, but she must have seen the whole thing. Or enough of it, anyway. She ran over to Percy like the barn was on fire. I didn't know the girl could move that fast. "What's wrong with you, Troy?" I never heard her so loud before. "What?" "What do you mean, what? You just kicked Percy." She was down on one knee, rubbing his side. Her locks were covering most of her face, but even at the angle, she and Percy looked like Beauty and the Beast. "He's not hurt," I said, pushing the wheelbarrow over to the door. "You don't know that." She was using this baby voice, all snuggled up with Percy. "And you don't know that he is," I said. I took the wheelbarrow outside, hoping she'd be gone when I came back. She wasn't. "Why are you acting like this? Like you're mad at everybody," she said. "Girl, please. You're tripping." "I'm tripping? You're the one acting weird. You've been weird ever since." "Ever since what?" She put Percy down by then. Like I'd said, he was all right. You're not the first person to be stopped by the police, she said. Like you would know. I leaned the empty wheelbarrow up against the wall. My friend Sloan got stopped up in North Philly last Friday night, she said. Preppy Sloan from your school? What does that have to do with it? Answer the question, I said. Is Sloan one of your rich friends? I don't see what difference that makes. So your little friend was stopped by the cops in a neighborhood where they didn't expect to see him. I rolled my eyes up to the ceiling. Did they frisk him? No, they just asked him if he was all right. I closed my eyes. Alicia, I said, you have no idea what it's like, do you? Why are you making such a big deal out of this? What was Sloan doing up in North Philly? I don't know. Her voice was real low. I just know I wouldn't make such a big deal out of it if it happened to me. Don't worry, I said, pulling my baseball cap out of my backpack and putting it on with the brim to the side. I don't think the cops are going to bother you out at Blanchard Pulu Club. I turned away from her and walked away. Chance must have caught whatever it was Alicia had, because after that, me and her were totally not cool. I couldn't even catch her to tack up for a ride. She just walked off and went the other way when I tried to get close to her. So I guess I started chasing her. That just made it worse. She was trying to get away from me. Then you're not going to believe what happened. Jerome walked over to Chance real calm-like. He made sure he came up to her on one side so she could see him and started rubbing Chance's shoulder and stepping back from her. He held up his hand for me to stay back. I mean, I don't want to blow it up more than it was. He didn't save my life or nothing, but he did chill things out. Thanks, man, I said. She's uptight today. Ain't nothing to it, he said, shrugging like this on an everyday thing. He walked Chance a little bit further away from where I was standing and let her go. She went back over to the other horses in the yard. I didn't try to run after Chance anymore. I just let her stay with the other horses. Everybody was going about their business, but I didn't know what to do. So I just upped and left, something that definitely wasn't cool. Everybody was supposed to check in and out with Winston. I don't know, I just had to get out of there. Couldn't stand the way Jerome was strutting around like he was in charge of me. Real fast, I jumped on my bike and started pedaling like a fool. I took that turn from the parking lot to the street so hard my bike skidded over to the curb. I didn't fall off, though, just straightened it up and kept going. I shot past the soccer fields, went down past where they play softball and that big swimming pool. Almost ran over these little kids running around in their 2 big t-shirts. I hooked a left at the 3rd intersection instead of going right. Right would have been the way to the double back to go home. But I didn't know why I went left. The road went a little ways before it ended. Pedaling real fast, I went straight up over the grass and into the woods. Blam! It was like going from day to night. There was hardly any sunlight and it was real quiet. It was different from my walks in the woods in the wintertime. Back then, there weren't any leaves on the trees, so you could see the sky. Now the leaves made everything look dark. I couldn't hear no kids, no traffic, nothing. I was in the middle of all of these trees with nobody else around. I was in the middle of Philly, but it didn't even smell like the city no more. Christmas trees. That's what it smelled like. It was hard to control the bike because I wasn't on a trail or nothing. The bike was bumping over roots and leaves and stuff. My hoodie kept getting caught on bushes, but I didn't let that stop me. I just kept going. Then I saw the woods slope downward down to the creek. I tried to slow down, but the bike was jumping all over the place. Next thing I knew, my bike was going one way and I was going the other. For a minute, it felt like I was in a movie, in a freeze frame. But then I slipped on some wet leaves and slid on my butt straight down into the creek. It was a miracle I didn't jack myself up. My pants were wet, but luckily my rubber boots kept my feet dry. I walked to the other side of the creek. That's where I found my bike. It was totally busted. It didn't have a seat anymore and the front wheel was bent. I just left it there. I didn't know where else I was, just somewhere in the park. Then I remembered I left my cell in my backpack and my backpack was still at the stables. So I couldn't even call nobody. I had to pull myself up, grabbing onto the tree branches and stuff just to get up to the flat ground. That's when I sat down. I pulled my hoodie up on my head to keep the gnats away. I crawled over to this opening in a real tall tree. Buried myself in that tree for a long time, trying to figure everything out. You know, I thought I was over being scared of Chance, but that wasn't true. I was scared she didn't want to be my horse anymore. Scared I was going to lose her forever. I don't know how long I stayed there. I must have fallen asleep, because when I woke up, it was starting to get dark, and the trees were creepy looking. Plus, I was hungry. I wasn't no nature boy, so I wouldn't pick berries or get a fish out of the creek. All I knew was I didn't want to be in the woods after it really got dark. So I just started walking back the same way I came. Tried to think of a story for Pops. Yeah, right. And that was chapter 16 of Writing Chance. I look forward to reading for you tomorrow. Have a good evening, folks. Bye-bye.